This message is brought to you by Apple Card.
Did you know Apple Card has no fees?
No fees?
None. No annual, late, or foreign transaction fees.
I guess when they say no fees, they mean it.
That's right. Apply for Apple Card in the Wallet app and start using it right away with Apple Pay.
Subject to credit approval, variable APRs for Apple Card range from 18.24% to 28.49% based on creditworthiness. Rates as of January 1st, 2025. Apple Card issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
It's nostalgia overload as Wilmer Valderrama and Freddie Rodriguez welcome another amigo to their podcast, Dos Amigos. Wilmer's friend and former That 70s Show castmate Topher Grace stops by the Speakeasy for a two-part interview to discuss his career and reminisce about old times.
We were still in that place of like, what will this experience become? And you go, you're having the best time you're ever going to have. Yeah. But it was like such a perfect golden time.
Listen to Dos Amigos on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Run a business and not thinking about podcasting? Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the #1 podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next two combined. Learn how podcasting can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
In a world of economic uncertainty and workplace transformation, learn to lead by example from visionary C-suite executives like Shannon Schuyler of PwC and Will Pearson of iHeartMedia.
The good teacher explains, the great teacher inspires.
Don't always leave your team to do the work. That's been the most important part of how to lead by example.
Listen to Leading by Example, Executives Making an Impact on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Episode 506, How to Save Money on a Kitchen Remodel with DeLancey Carson.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends Podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends Podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And the kitchen might bring you some negative thoughts if you are in a house where your kitchen is not as aesthetically pleasing as the ones you see on social media. But fear not, you don't have to live with it. You don't have to endure it. You can, because your kitchen doesn't have to look like the ones on social media. But there are affordable ways to update it. And I am so excited to share DeLancey DIY with you because we had a great convo on budget renovation.
But first, this episode is brought to you by Clearing the Crap. Okay? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, gosh.
We're not dealing with any crap anymore. We're clearing it out.
Save the drama for your llama.
So if you also are tired of the crap, you're ready to clear it out, get it gone. By means of a declutter, we are here to help you. We just wrote a declutter challenge, a 30-day declutter challenge. We actually do challenges like this every month for people in our membership, our monthly money membership challenge. And this month in May is a declutter challenge. So 30 days walking you through kind of tangible, bite-sized, attainable things you can do every day for 30 days to clear the crap. Get yourself into a more decluttered space. Maybe even help yourself see what kind of remodels could happen from there, or just the declutter is your version of a remodel.
Maybe you don't need to remodel your kitchen. Maybe you just need to get rid of some stuff. So why don't you try that first?
Yeah.
And then take these tips with you.
So this is launching in May. So I know we're listening to this at the end of April. We are offering a discount. So if you use code DECLUTTER, it will get you 50% off that declutter challenge. Or to be honest with you, it'll get you 50% off an annual subscription. So if you want all of the challenges that we're giving you this year, then get the annual. But if you just want the declutter challenge, there you go, 50% off for it. That deal ends May 1st at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Flash sale, act fast.
Do it now. Code is DECLUTTER. Go to frugalfriendspodcast.com/challenge and declutter 50% off.
Yeah. And we're going to be offering this challenge all month long, but if this isn't what you want to do, or if you ever find a challenge that you don't want to do, we offer the last 3 months of challenges too. So you can grab those. And so there's always going to be something you want to do, even if it's not with the rest of us. Because challenges are a great way to drive intrinsic motivation if you're looking to reach a financial goal. It can be really monotonous. We've both done it, and gamifying the process really helps. And so that's what we design every money challenge to do. So we look forward to seeing you in there. All right. So we love talking about renovations, don't we, Jill?
Yeah, we do.
Love renovating.
We apparently love doing renovations.
We love it. We've never stopped renovating in the last 3 or 4 years, just always renovating.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but we do overhaul renovations. And not everybody can do an overhaul renovation. So DeLancey actually helps women ditch the fear of power tools so that they can do more DIY-friendly renovations in their home. So transforming outdated spaces to things that they love without blowing the budget. And so we have loved hearing from her and seeing her on Instagram at DeLancey DIY. She has renovated about 5 different kitchens affordably. So we're talking about where to go in on, where you can save, and the best tips for doing the most with the least. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
DeLancey, welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on. I am so frugal. And so this is right up my alley.
We've noticed, you do some really amazing renovations for low cost. And a lot of times when people do that for low cost, you can see it, you can really tell.
Mm-hmm.
But yours look really great. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
I love frugal, but like high impact. So that is what all of my renovations are. They're like, how can I spend the least amount of money and make this look the most different?
Awesome. Yeah. And we like to say we're frugal, not cheap. So
absolutely,
we like to save money, but we bougie. Mm-hmm. So we like to look good, and we like our things to look good and be good quality. Yeah. All right. So our first question is, what do people waste the most money on, and where should you not? So I guess it's 2 questions. What do people waste the most money on? And then what are those things, like what are the things that are not a waste? What should they not skimp on?
This is such a good question. So I actually think that the thing that people waste money on is they don't start like a DIY project with the end in mind. So sometimes we get so distracted by the little things that we forget to take into account the whole picture. So like if you're making over your kitchen, you need to have a vision of what is this all going to look like together? Because if you just start with like, oh, I would like green cabinets, and oh, I would like a fun backsplash. If you don't have a vision of them all together, you might get to the end of the project and be like, oh man, I spent all this money, but now I'm looking at this backsplash and I hate how it looks with the cabinets. So I think one way to like avoid all that is at the beginning, before your project, take a look at all the things you want to change. Okay, do I want to update the cabinets? Do I want to add a backsplash? Do I want to change the countertops or work with what I have? Do I want to change the cabinet knobs? And then put it all together in a mood board. Making yourself a mood board is going to save you so much time and hassle, and it's going to guarantee that you actually like the finished product when you're done. So you can make a mood board online with like Canva or PowerPoint. You literally bring in, let's see what green cabinets look like with gold knobs and what look like with this backsplash. And then you can kind of see, oh, actually the green and the backsplash, those don't go together. What if I change it out for a marble backsplash? And so I think people waste money by doing renovations and then getting to the end and being like, if I just spent like $300 more, I could have had a backsplash I actually like, instead of being stuck with this one for the next 10 years.
I think part of that issue comes from, I hear so many people say, I can't ever picture something
Mm-hmm,
at the
mm-hmm.
end. You know, like my husband and I have done renovations on literally every place we've ever owned. And that's one of the number one comments that we get is, man, how did you guys imagine this from the beginning? I just can't see it. Like when I'm in my space, I can't see something different. And so I love what you're describing about a mood board, but I'm also curious how you feel about if you've seen it be helpful for yourself or others to even utilize like AI tools of like uploading pictures of your space and being able to like put that color cabinet over top to like help the people who visually, they don't totally know. They typically just kind of make decisions as they're going.
Yeah. And in fact, that's such a good point too. You're talking about your husband, because I think mood boards are the exact way to explain your project ahead of time to your husband who cannot read your mind. And so I find that AI doesn't help a ton. I think my best advice is usually to go to Pinterest and to look for keywords that you like. Classic kitchen, timeless kitchen, Nancy Meyer's kitchen. And then you're going to save all of those things to a board, right? And then you go through and you look at your pins and then you have to think to yourself, what do these have in common? What common themes am I seeing throughout here? I'm actually seeing that all of these cabinets are creamy. Okay, if I like creamy cabinets, that's what I'm drawn to in each of these things. What pairs well with creamy cabinets? Maybe I want to do a island that's a wood tone. Okay, do any of these pictures? Oh, actually, look, a lot of these islands have a wood tone. Is it a dark wood tone or a light wood tone? And you can kind of see Pinterest is so good about showing you things that go together well. And so once you can kind of start seeing the common thread through all of the things that your eye is drawn to, then you can kind of bring them into a mood board. So, for example, Canva, you can like remove the background. So you can take a picture from Pinterest with cream cabinets, remove everything except the cream cabinets, and then stick it on your mood board. And then you can go find a backsplash you like, stick it on there, remove everything else from that picture. And then you can kind of see what the finished look will look like. And it also helps so much when you try to tell your husband, so I want to build this like rack on the side of the refrigerator and it's going to hold cutting boards. And he's like, what on earth are you talking about? But then you can show him the mood board and be like, do you see how this person had it? Theirs is white, but I'm going to do mine in green because it's going to match the cabinets kind of thing. So I think just really utilizing Pinterest and then utilizing making your own mood board is really the way to visualize what the project will be before you start.
Yeah, I think that's such a good tip. And I think where AI could be useful is that once you've found that mood board and you're trying to find a similar thing or even identical, uploading that and being like, hey, find this where I can buy this online.
Yeah, I think also AI is great for like adding a couple more things. It's not really good at like generating the whole project, but I think if you could say, hey, I want cream cabinets and I want a colored backsplash and I want a wood tone island, what else am I missing? Then AI could totally be like, you know what you need? You need a statement island lights over your island. And you'd be like, oh, I do need island lights. You're right. I wonder what color I should do. And then it would kind of lead you on your next tangent. So I think if you could feed in, or you could also say to AI, hey, I have a living room and it's dark blue. My laundry room is like a cream. What color would a kitchen go with this? So I think the more that you can feed AI, the better it will give you a response.
Yes. Okay. And then what is that thing people shouldn't be skimping on?
Oh man. See, okay. See, so I've done a couple of bathroom remodels as well. And a couple of regrets I have is, so a bathroom, sometimes you have to take it to the studs, right? If you're going to be taking something to the studs, I do think it's worth to splurge on things that you will love. I wish I had added that radiant heating under the floor of our bathroom, because our bathroom is like on this side of the house and it gets the coldest. So I should have spent the extra, I don't know, $500, $1,000 to add radiant floor heating. So I think things like that. If you're going to be destroying a space anyways, is it worth the extra 10% to make it a space you truly, truly love?
Yeah. So it sounds like it's going to be individualized for each person on like, what's the luxury item that you really think is going to like elevate the way you're going to use the space and
Yes.
for your
And I
location.
think figuring out what that luxury item is to you, for me, a lot of it is functionality. Like I don't want cold feet. But like, so I'll skimp in other areas to be able to splurge on, if you want marble countertops, great, lovely marble countertops. Are there ways that you can save if you don't care about what the backsplash is, pure marble, or if it's ceramic? You could save in other ways and then splurge on the items that you truly do love.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds a lot like how we approach meal planning and creating our spending plan. Like we're not going to get to where we're going if we don't know where we want to go. So having some of these ideas ahead of time, creating the mood board, having a really good vision, not to say that there's not going to be curveballs that happen in the process, but it can certainly help when you've got the end goal in mind. And for you, when it comes to kitchen remodels specifically, curious what your perspective is on the places where you can get the most bang for the least buck.
Yes, I've done 5 budget kitchen remodels in the past 4 years because I love making over kitchens because it does have such an impact because we are in our kitchens all day, every day, and we see it all day, every day. And the functionality of a kitchen is so important. So the biggest bangs for your buck, I love the power of painting. I think painting does not get enough credit because simply changing the color of your cabinets or changing the color of your walls can have such a huge impact on how you feel about a space. And so I definitely think if you are staring at your wood cabinets and you have hated those wood cabinets since you moved in, you need to paint them. Like paint is such a quick, easy win that makes such a difference. And it'll probably snowball. So once you paint your kitchen cabinets, then you're going to be looking at it and you're going to be like, you know what? That backsplash has got to go. It's time for a new one. And because then you get to like make it your own in kind of stages. So painting is definitely the biggest, but I also think that not enough people get scratch and dent appliances. We saved hundreds and hundreds by when we moved into our house. It was a 1980s house that it had original appliances. So they were all dead. So we had to get a fridge and a stove and a dishwasher and washing machines. So we went to the scratch and dent place because I had little kids. I knew they were going to scratch them soon anyways. So I was like, great. So we went to the scratch and dent place for the refrigerator and for the stove and such. And so I was able to get the fancier refrigerator, right? Like the French door with the water on the front, but at a less price because it had some scratches on the side that you can't even see. The stove, the little handle that pulls, the oven open, it had a dent in the middle that you can't see when you hang a towel on this, like when you hang a little hand towel on it, you can't see it. So anyways, I would totally advise, like you can go to a scratch and dent place and they have the nice name brand stuff that might just have a scratch on the side that you won't even see. So that's my advice.
I agree. That's where we got all of our appliances from and saved a ton of money, especially if you need kind of all new appliances as well. And even as you're mentioning with the pool for the oven, those are the types of things that are easily replaceable. You can search for parts and, maybe get those brand new. But if it allows you to save $1,000 on the appliance itself, then worth it.
That is so true. I actually looked up how much it was cost to replace the pool, and it was like $50. And I didn't care $50 worth, but I could.
Sure.
Like if I want to in the future, I can go buy the $50 handle and replace it.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card.
Did you know Apple Card has no fees?
No fees?
None. No annual, late, or foreign transaction fees.
I guess when they say no fees, they mean it.
That's right. Apply for Apple Card in the Wallet app and start using it right away with Apple Pay.
Subject to credit approval, variable APRs for Apple Card range from 18.24% to 28.49% based on credit worthiness. Rates as of January 1st, 2025. Apple Card issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com. Looking to save even more money on your phone bill? How does free sound? Helium Mobile is offering the first free phone plan. That's right, free phone service. Seriously, no bill, no contract, just free.
It's not just some limited time deal. You get nationwide 5G coverage with 3 gigabytes of data, 300 texts, and 100 minutes of calls. If you need more data, you can upgrade to their other plans. Plus, you're supporting a community-built network that's growing every day to keep you seamlessly connected wherever you go.
When we first heard about Helium Mobile, we couldn't wait to share it with all our Frugal listeners who are looking to budget smarter when it comes to everyday necessities without sacrificing quality.
So if you're in the market to cut that monthly phone bill, like really cut it, Helium Mobile is where it's at. Download the Helium Mobile app today and use the code FRUGAL to get your free plan today.
Trust isn't just earned, it's demanded. Whether you're a startup founder navigating your first audit or a seasoned security professional scaling your GRC program, proving your commitment to security has never been more critical or more complex. That's where Vanta comes in. Businesses use Vanta to establish trust by automating compliance needs over 35 frameworks, like SOC 2 and ISO 27001. Centralize security workflows, complete questionnaires up to 5 times faster, and proactively manage vendor risk. Vanta can help you start or scale your security program by connecting you with auditors and experts to conduct your audit and set up your security program quickly. Plus, with automation and AI throughout the platform, Vanta gives you time back so you can focus on building your company. Join over 9,000 global companies like Atlassian, Quora, and Factory who use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. For a limited time, our audience gets $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/special. That's VANTA.com/special for $1,000 off.
It's nostalgia overload as Wilmer Valderrama and Freddie Rodriguez welcome another amigo to their podcast, Dos Amigos. Wilmer's friend and former That 70s Show castmate Topher Grace stops by the Speakeasy for a 2-part interview to discuss his career and reminisce about old times.
We were still in that place of like, what will this experience become? And you go, you're having the best time you're ever going to have. Yeah. But it was like such a perfect golden time.
Listen to Dos Amigos on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, I want to know all about painting cabinets because I've heard horror stories of people painting cabinets and the paint chips, it peels. Cabinets are so utilized in a space. They need to be durable. So what do we do? What do we look for? And what do we not do? How do we paint cabinets well?
I say do not chalk paint them. That was a huge trend for a while, people just slapping chalk paint on stuff. I think it works if you have kind of more rustic feel. So if you have like a rustic kind of farmhouse and you like the chippy look, go for it, absolutely. But if you want a modern repainted kitchen, I do not advise chalk paint. But all of these paint companies have developed really good cabinet paints now. Benjamin Moore Advance is the one I usually use. Behr also has a cabinet and trim paint that's great. Here's the thing. Cabinets require more steps than just painting a wall. And so it will take you longer, but it's going to be worth it. So I tell all of my people who ask about painting cabinets, I say, you're going to have to do some prep, but the prep is what makes the finished product look amazing. So I do advise scuff sanding, which is like just getting a sanding block and running it over the surface. I advise priming with an oil-based primer because all of these cabinets, you don't even know if they're solid wood. Some of them are like pine, and the pine tannins can sink through finished covers of paint. And you don't want that happening. So you have to prime with an oil-based primer. And then you do 2 coats of either Benjamin Moore Advance or the Behr cabinet and trim paint. And then you don't have to top coat it because both of those have a built-in top coat. So you do have to do a couple more steps to prep, but it's not terrible once you get started. And then you're going to have a beautiful painted kitchen that's going to last for years and years and years, and you're going to enjoy it for years and years and years.
I will add taking all of the doors off and obviously the cabinet, the drawer fronts off, and labeling them before, like having a way of labeling them, because I also have redone tons of kitchens and painted cabinets in every single one of them. And that was one of the things I learned the hard way on one of the first remodels, is that not every cabinet is the same. And the ways in
they
which
look similar
it's kind
sometimes.
Yeah. And the ways that sometimes it's like chiseled out for the hardware is very specific and it needs to go back into that place. So if you're pulling them down, which I would recommend, like do it the right way, don't get paint all over the hardware. And then having, if you do have a place to be able to lay out all of the cabinets, that can really help. If it's in like a dust-free area, even better. So those of my friends in the north who have basements, the perfect place to be able to paint all of these cabinets, but labeling it is my extra tip.
And before you paint, if you're doing different cabinet like pulls, which is why a mood board is so important before you get started, then if you're going from like 1 to 2 or from 2 to 1, like screw wood filler like before you paint so that you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
That is a big thing.
I've used, I'd be curious what tool you use, DeLancey, but like a foam roller too, I found to be really helpful with painting cabinets so that you get that really sleek kind of brushless finish on it. So sometimes the tools you use make a difference as well.
Oh yeah. What kind of tools do you use?
So I like to roll the cabinet bases. I actually have found a 1/4 inch soft nap works better than a foam roller for me with the kind of paints that I usually use. So I like the 1/4 inch soft naps to roll, and obviously the brush for like the tiny corners. And then the cabinet doors, since you're going to take them off anyways, I actually advise spraying them. There's like a $60 sprayer on Amazon that's worth its weight in gold. I bought it 4 years ago, and then my sister stole it, and I bought the exact same one again because it's just a really good sprayer. So I would advise spend the $60, and then you can spray all the cabinet doors, and that's going to give you a really brushless look.
Oh, especially if you have any of those like fancy whatever on the wood cabinets. They're all like, you know, I don't know what it's called, but you can't see me because I'm doing this wave with my hands, but that's
the like filigree or whatever they call it.
Filigree or like, yeah. Just they're not all shaker.
Super fancy. Yeah, exactly. If you have shaker, like you could probably get away with just rolling it. But yeah, some of the, especially the ones from the 80s and 90s, they were a little bit more elaborate. So those, it's so much easier to spray.
I did also, and this was maybe a bit of a regret now, already painted cabinets. So I stripped the paint off of all of the cabinets.
Wow.
That's
impressive.
So talk about prep work.
Yeah.
If you've already got painted cabinets and they weren't painted well, I mean, and you don't want to spend the money on paying somebody, like it is worth it. But goodness, that took a lot of time. But that is something to think about too. Like if the cabinets were painted previously and it's a little bit shoddy work, that's a consideration, I think, in whether or not you're going to repaint them or you're going to strip them. So I think we're primarily talking about painting when they've not been painted before.
Right. If they were like original. Of course, you could also, if you had that kind of thing where like someone did a terrible job last time, you could also just get new doors. If your frames are still secure and strong and like they're going great, you can just buy new doors. You can go to Home Depot online and like just put in your measurements. I think it's maybe $80, $90 a door, which I mean adds up obviously if you have a huge kitchen, but it would give you a whole new look. And that would be a great way to go from like, if your other doors were very fancy and you wanted a more shaker look, that would be a super quick win. And then I think those, you can get them painted or they can come primed and then you can paint them to the color you want.
Yeah, I love that middle of the road option for people where it's not a full gut, but it is absolutely a visual upgrade.
Yeah. And I think that's where people get stuck so often is we see these shows on TV where people gut their kitchen and then they spend $100,000 to rebuild it. But that's not most people's life. Most people don't want to live through a renovation like that. They don't want to cook in the dining room for the next 4 months of their life. Like, right. I think we want, what can I do that's that middle of the ground? What can I do to improve the space that I'm living in right now that I can still live through, that's not going to be too much chaos, but that I'll love in the end, that maybe is not going to be $100,000 worth, but that still is adding value to your home.
Yeah, I think it is really appealing too to be able to say, I can do this myself, because when we can cut the labor costs, I mean, that's a good majority of what a lot of these renovations cost. So when we can find the types of things we can do that we are capable of doing, then even better. So speaking of some of those things, I'd be curious what you've seen that people can actually DIY where they wouldn't have thought that they could. We've kind of talked about cabinets. Is there anything else that you've seen you actually really could make a big difference in your kitchen with these things that your average person can absolutely implement on?
I like encouraging women to learn how to tile. So tiling is one of my favorite ways to update a space. I have tile in my laundry room and my kitchen and obviously bathrooms, but also in my dining room as an accent wall. I love the power of tile, and people think it's hard until I show them the videos of my 3-year-old daughter tiling. And then they're like, okay, maybe if your 3-year-old can tile, then I could learn how to do this. And so I think learning how to tile is such a fun skill because it's one of those that not everybody knows. Like, most people are like, I'm sure I could paint a wall, so I could probably figure out how to paint cabinets. But learning to tile is such a fun skill that people come over to my house and my kids can say, oh yeah, I tiled that our pantry. It's just such a interesting thing. So, and I think people think that tiling is scary because you have to use a wet saw. But it's actually one of the safest tools because you can touch the blade with your hand and it doesn't cut you. And because it's a wet saw and it just grinds the tiles. And so I think learning skills like that are so fun and can add such an impact to a space. And you get to have the fun. Like, I learned a new skill that how many people on the planet know how to tile a backsplash? I do now, you know?
Where do you find your tile, affordably, and how do you go about, deciding backsplash?
That's a good point because tiles can range from $1 a square foot to $50 a square foot, right? So you could go either way. I love Floor & Decor. I love Home Depot for tile. I like the Tile Shop. All of those. I do prefer to see my tile in person. So I have not had great luck of just seeing one online. I like to see it in person. So if you have a store near you, the Tile Shop, Floor & Decor, or Home Depot, I like to go to those and see what options they have. And then you could do your mood board in person, right? If you have your paint chip of what color your cabinets are going to be, and you have your tile of what you're thinking about, and then you go lay it on in a piece of granite that's kind of close to your countertops, then you can kind of make your mood board in person.
Fun fact, we got our backsplash on Facebook Marketplace.
Whoa, look at that.
We didn't have a lot. We had just one portion of the wall for the backsplash, not a lot. So we could have gone with something, new. It wouldn't have been that expensive. But because it was so little, people will sell leftovers from their jobs. And it's not a high quantity, but I think we got 2 or 3 boxes and that's all we needed. And it's a fun, textured, if you're far away from it, it just looks like oversized white subway tile, but when you get close to it, you can see each different tile has a different texture. And
I love that.
That was what I was looking for. I wanted textured tile, not crazy color, but I wanted a really unique texture.
Yeah, there's also a lot of places that will have renovation stores,
Restore.
Yeah,
Habitat for Humanity.
Habitat for Humanity has a place called Restore. Usually most states are going to have that. So even being able to go and check there first is kind of the thing. It's not as if every time you're going to find something that fits into your mood board or is the right quantity of things. But it's surprising what can be found at places like that, even sometimes sinks and faucets and different lighting fixtures. So we love all of the hacks.
Yeah. And again, I'll go back to your point on the mood board. It's make sure you're buying in alignment with that and not just because you can get it secondhand or a deal, because that's how you waste money.
Yep.
You get a deal on something, you get something on sale or secondhand.
And then you have to work around it, whether you love it or not.
And then you
don't do it.
Or you just have that stuff and you buy the new stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And you've wasted the money on the sale stuff.
Speaking of wasted money, I'm curious what you've seen are some of the common mistakes people make that end up costing them more in the long run, like maybe things that they thought would have been a good idea, but actually aren't. Like, where are we seeing some of the poor decision making with kitchen renos?
The good news is that I haven't found many people who've regretted their kitchen renos. Like I haven't found many people who've done it themselves. I've talked to a lot of people who have hired out a kitchen reno and they regret different aspects. But the people that I talk to, the millions of women that have done their own kitchen reno, they don't regret pieces of it. Because I think when you're doing it yourself, you're kind of also on a different timeline. You're not bound by these contractors and like, I need a tile picked by tomorrow. So you get to maybe take it slower or just put more time into thinking about each step. And then I think when you get to the end, you are so proud that you did it yourself that it kind of covers over any little regrets. I mean, there are some things like my first tiling jobs were not as good as my most recent tiling jobs, but that's life, you know? Like, of course, the first time you do something, it's not going to be perfect, but I think it's still a good enough upgrade that your brain doesn't dwell. It's kind of like childbirth. You don't remember the terrible parts. You just remember the like fabulous sweet baby you're now holding. And so I think sometimes we scare ourselves of like, oh, I can't start this because I'll get in and it'll be terrible. And what if I mess it up? But everything is figure outable. And once you get in there, you'll find a solution to it. It might take a little bit longer, or you may have to go back to Home Depot for the 6th time, but it's all figure outable. And so I haven't talked to many people who regret things or say, oh man, that reno was a complete waste of money, because there's always something to learn or a skill to grow. And it all just, I think each step makes your house better and makes you better.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest barrier for people is kind of assuming like, oh, I don't know how to do that. It's like, well, no one knew how to do that before they learned. Like you're saying,
so right.
Everything is learnable and skills are buildable. Now, whether or not you have the time to want to learn or build that skill, but if you want a kitchen reno for inexpensive, like it is possible to learn how to change out a sink. It is possible to learn how to paint cabinets and install your own new backsplash, maybe even do some under cabinet lighting.
And it's all on YouTube.
It's literally all on YouTube. Everything you could ever want to know by people who are electricians, by people who are plumbers, right? Gone are the days where you had to have an apprentice to learn how to be a tiler. You can go and learn on YouTube. But the thing is, so YouTube has access to all of the tutorials you could ever want. So you can bring in information all day long. But the thing that makes you better is doing it. So you can get stuck sometimes in the watching stage of watching other people make over their kitchen cabinets. And I'm just going to watch them. Well, maybe this tutorial will tell me how to do it. Well, maybe this tutorial has even better tips. But the thing that will actually get your cabinets painted is you grabbing a paintbrush and starting. And then you working through any things you come up with. Okay, well, now I'm painting and it looks like this paint is chipping. What am I doing wrong? And then troubleshooting from there. That a type of approach is so much better than I'm just going to take in information for months and months and months and months instead of starting. Because once you start, then you can problem solve as you go instead of thinking I need every bit of information before I even start. That's not real life.
Yeah, there you go. That's the biggest mistake people make is just not starting.
Yeah,
so there's
just putting it off.
There's one other category of a kitchen reno that we've not covered yet, and that is countertops. And this can be an expensive one. What would you say for somebody who's like, okay, I think I can tackle all of these things, but what I really hate is my countertops.
Right.
What can be done?
80s laminate chipping countertops.
Yes. Oh my goodness. All of my houses have had 80s laminate kitchen countertops. So I think you get to decide. This is one of those like personal decision things. I am fine with laminate countertops. So when I redid my kitchen, I got new laminate countertops because I had little kids and who were going to spill red Kool-Aid. And I am not a marble kind of person. Like my kids would ruin it right away. I didn't want the upkeep. Like I just didn't. So I got new laminate countertops that the trick is not to get the included backsplash. The trick is to just get the flat part and then you do a tile backsplash so it looks like marble or quartz or whatever. And people who've commented be like, oh, you got new. And I'm like, it's just laminate and it cost $300. But if you wanted to splurge on counters, I would hire those out. I would do all the stuff you can do yourself, painting the cabinets if they're like good, strong quality and they just need to freshen up. You paint them, you add the knobs and you add under cabinet lightings, and then you splurge on getting, if you want quartz countertops, go get quartz countertops. But I would get those professionally done because they're going to come in and they're going to measure and they're going to cut out for the sink and all that kind of stuff. So that would be one of the things that I would splurge on. If it mattered to me that I had really nice countertops, I would splurge on hiring that out.
We've also had success on getting remnants from places. Like we've hired out countertops, but there's been times where the amount of countertop we need is not that large. And so we're able to shop their remnant section. So this would be leftovers from other jobs that were done for a fraction of the cost. Again, you're not guaranteed that.
It's got to be small,
but it is possible that they would have the piece that you need.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about butcher block?
I love butcher block. I have butcher block in my pantry. It's not like, I don't know if I would cut on it. Like I wouldn't use it as butcher block. I think it, because it's wood, right? So like, and have my children spilt Kool-Aid on my butcher block countertop in the pantry? Yes, they have. But the nice thing about butcher block is you just sand it off and then reseal it. You seal it with like a butcher block oil. So I think it's a great option. A lot of people get stressed out and they're like, no, don't do it. It's just, go for it. If you want butcher block countertops, go for it. Like seal them with some oil. And like, will you ever have to reseal them? Yeah, you'll probably have to reseal them once a year. Is that the end of the world? No. Like, I think people overthink things so much and they get it so much in their head of like, oh, this is the only way to do it, when there's a zillion different ways to make over your kitchen to a kitchen that you love. And I think butcher block is a great, like budget friendly option that looks great because it's real wood.
Yeah, I think so often we are renovating with resale in mind. And to an extent, that is a good thing if you are living in your house to resell it. Like we just renovated a house to resell it, so we renovated it for resale. If you are in your forever home, then you don't have to think about the next buyers. You just think about you, baby girl.
Yeah. And I really think that even because why are you designing for some potential future buyer who you have no idea what this person wants? So I think if you're going to be in your home for the next 3 years, you do it how you want it.
Yes. I thought of one more thing, and this is the last thing, I promise. Flooring. If somebody wants to change out the flooring in their kitchen, what's your go-to? And what do you avoid? My go-to is always laminate floors, or not laminate, like LVP, luxury vinyl plank, just because they're easy to install, beginner friendly. They can go over a subfloor. They can go over tile. They can go over, if you have like a 60s kitchen with that, linoleum, it can go over linoleum. I think that it's such an easy install. You can do it in a day and it makes a huge impact and it wipes up so easily and they're all waterproof. So, and if you ever had to rip it out, you rip it out in a day and replace it with something else. Yeah, that's what we use. Do you have a preference on your LVP or like a thickness or a brand or something?
I do say don't get the cheapest. Like, you don't have to get the most expensive. That's like $10 a square foot, but like, don't get the $1. Get a middle of the road.
I think we went with the 10 millimeter thickness, and we did the 3 millimeter padding underneath. So those are like, they're nice. I would say those are nice.
If you're on a slab, you do have to have like the underlayment.
Yeah, we were on a
waterproofing
slab.
Something. Yeah. So you do need to make sure. And that's one of those things that like, yes, that's the kind of thing that you want to make sure you're doing the steps in the right order. So that is great where like you need to go to YouTube. You need to watch somebody install luxury vinyl plank on a slab so you know the steps to take. So you don't have to rip up your stuff and then put down the the underlayment.
Oh, wait, I have one more question too. How much do you think? So if someone's like, okay, I'm feeling inspired, I might be able to do my own kitchen myself.
Yes.
What should they anticipate as far as tool costs? Because your average person might not have all of the things to be able to do
and there's
it.
rental tools, yes, but total cost, that's a good one.
Tools you will need. I mean, it depends on how, like if you're just painting your cabinets, buy the $60 sprayer and a couple of rollers, right? If you're building something to add to it, like you will, or if you have to cut down laminate countertops yourself, you will need some tools, but it's not going to be terrible. I mean, $500 maybe of tools. It's not like you need some giant woodworking shop. You probably need less than 5, a drill, a miter saw, a circular saw, a brad nailer, and a sander. Like if you had those 5, you'd be fine.
Yeah. And there are things that you could always find used on Facebook Marketplace. You can always resell them if you need to buy them new. And it's just good to have a power drill always.
Well, that's true
You never have to get carpal tunnel in your wrist again.
But for some of these things, like the wet saw, you could also rent from like Home Depot or see if you can borrow it from a friend. Or there are also tool libraries.
Yes,
in
there
different
are.
cities.
Some cities have them. Yes.
Yes. In St. Pete, we have one. You can rent out tools.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
amazing.
And
I'm so jealous.
There is surely a dude somewhere that you can but borrow all these tools because he bought them all and he used them and he's
you might be able to rent the dude too. You know, if you just need a second hand.
But you could definitely borrow his tools because he has them because they are his trophies. And I know this because I live with this dude. But he uses his tools.
Do you know what's my trophy and I will live with every single day of the week?
Never resell.
The bill of the week.
That's right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the bill of the week.
Oh, wow. I just heard an echo in my headphones. What a treat. All right, DeLancey. Every week we invite our listeners and our guests to share with us their bill for the week. And we look forward to hearing yours.
Oh, man. Okay, so my bill of the week has to be shout out to the Bill who is on my Facebook group, who likes to, every time I post something, he likes to tell me all the things I did wrong. And he likes to be the guy that's like, actually, it's not a crowbar. It's actually called a pry bar. But shout out to Bill, because for every one Bill, I have 10 Katies who are like, ignore him. He's being ridiculous. This is what I needed to see. So shut up, Bill, because this is amazing.
Oh my gosh, he is in there purely to mansplain.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
Facebook
my gosh.
is a cesspool of mansplaining.
I mean, anytime that you're getting into something traditionally male, you're going to have them want to come and tell you how you're doing it wrong.
Because he has all of his trophies, his tools around that he probably doesn't use. But they are trophies.
And he's so proud that he knows how to do it. But the fact that now women are learning how to do it, it makes him feel less special. And I don't.
Because you're using the tools more than he is. And he doesn't like
that. True. But the good news is I'm not doing it for you, Bill. I'm doing it for Katie.
Yes. Man, usually when we get a person named Bill, Bill is usually the salt of the earth.
Yeah.
But this time around,
so y'all
Bill,
get good, Bill.
He's the salt in my eye.
Bill, you got to just calm down. You need to calm down, Bill. And hats off to you, DeLancey, for still doing it, because you know that it's just going to bring a ton of haters.
Or just for not blocking him. I'd kick him out of the group.
It's true. I only block them if they get super rude. But the thing is this, that like, I think sadly women are just used to it. Like that we realize that when we put something out there that there will be haters. But the good news is that like there's so many women who are loving it that it way makes up for all the haters.
Yes. So true. All right. Well, that's fun. Glad you're doing it for Katie. If you all listening and have a bill that you want to submit, if it has to do with Bill being a bad Bill, and we need to kick him out of the group, or if it's a bill that you don't mind paying, or a good bill, Bill's out here being a big old encouragement. frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill. We can't wait to hear it. Looking to save even more money on your phone bill? How does free sound? Helium Mobile is offering the first free phone plan. That's right, free phone service. Seriously, no bill, no contract, just free.
It's not just some limited time deal. You get nationwide 5G coverage with 3 gigabytes of data, 300 texts, and 100 minutes of calls. If you need more data, you can upgrade to their other plans. Plus, you're supporting a community-built network that's growing every day to keep you seamlessly connected wherever you go.
When we first heard about Helium Mobile, we couldn't wait to share it with all our Frugal listeners who are looking to budget smarter when it comes to everyday necessities without sacrificing quality.
So if you're in the market to cut that monthly phone bill, like really cut it, Helium Mobile is where it's at. Download the Helium Mobile app today and use the code FRUGAL to get your free plan today.
It's nostalgia overload as Wilmer Valderrama and Freddie Rodriguez welcome another amigo to their podcast, Dos Amigos. Wilmer's friend and former That 70s Show castmate Topher Grace stops by the Speakeasy for a 2-part interview to discuss his career and reminisce about old times.
We were still in that place of like, what will this experience become? And you go, you're having the best time you're ever going to have. Yeah. But it was like such a perfect golden time.
Listen to Dos Amigos on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Run a business and not thinking about podcasting? Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the #1 podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next 2 combined. So whatever your customers listen to, they'll hear your message. Plus, only iHeart can extend your message to audiences across broadcast radio. Think podcasting can help your business? Think iHeart. Streaming, radio, and podcasting. Let us show you at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
And now it's time for the lightning round. Pew, pew.
All right. It's that time of the episode where we all answer a very vulnerable question. And we always have our guests go first.
Oh.
All right. Dun, dun, dun.
Super vulnerable.
Okay. What's a small appliance or gadget you use in your kitchen that you think is very underrated? That people are like, oh, why do you have that? What a waste.
And if it feels too vulnerable to answer, you can ask us to move on to the next question. There is no other question. Just kidding.
This is it.
So I'm a mom, so like obviously I have to say an air fryer, but you know what I was thinking is actually my most used random part of my kitchen? I got the stove that has the flat top surface griddle in the middle, and I use that every single day. Because you don't have to get out a pan. So every time you want to make grilled cheese, you just throw the bread on that little griddle and then like you wash it like at night or something, but like you don't have to wash it every time. So that little griddle in the middle of my stove is my favorite, upgrade of my whole kitchen.
I love that answer. I love that answer.
That is, I think, a helpful one too for anybody potentially shopping for a range of what kind do I even want? How will it serve me to kind of think about the types of things you enjoy cooking?
And if you have a stove and you don't want to get another one with a griddle, they make griddles that you can put over your burners.
Oh,
that turns it into a griddle. So
how often do you need all 4 burners? Like you don't need all 4 burners going at the same time. Like
never.
Except on like Thanksgiving. So like like leave one as a griddle.
Mm-hmm. All right, for me, it's an electric can opener.
Wow,
I know.
Go crazy, Jen.
I know. I did. So Travis got this at a thrift store or somewhere, and I was like, "What a waste!" Like. Get a regular can opener like a real man. And so we have used this. I primarily cook and I use this all the time. And now when I do have to use a regular can opener, I'm like, oh, carpal tunnel.
Honest to goodness, I've never thought that I've had like arthritis or carpal tunnel until I open a can manually. It like morphs your hands in ways you're not accustomed to, and my hands cannot do it.
Electric can openers, we've become fragile women.
It's so funny. I was laughing at this, but now to think the last time I opened a can, I was like, why does this hurt me so much?
Putting the whole body into it. It's not just the wrist. Like I've got the stance and I'm over it. And it's like an entire body movement to open a can.
Wow. You're convincing me. It is underrated. Wow.
I mean, it's just a little electric plug-in, man.
I love that. Okay, for me, I'm going to go with some old school, ancient pieces here. A mortar and pestle. I think.
Were you from the 1800s?
Yes. No, I'm from 1492. I think it looks nice, first of all, out on the counter.
It is beautiful. Yes.
I love a good mortar and pestle out. Also, it is good to like grind up herbs and spices. I don't always cook with fresh herbs, but when I do, mortar and pestle. And it really does elevate the dish. Garlic. And I also use, which one is the mortar, which is the pestle? The hand thing.
I think that's the pestle.
Yeah. I will tenderize my chicken with that.
Oh, that's smart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I cover the chicken, right? So I'm not like going raw chicken to fresh herbs with
She's not going raw with it.
But I can it's really heavy and I can bang out that chicken. So multi-purpose, Wow.
Yes.
I love form and function and I get both.
That's beautiful.
That's amazing.
That is. DeLancey, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for just responding to my email, even though you thought it was spam.
I did think it was spam.
LOL. Glad we're here still.
So true. I have for 7 years been reaching out to guests because we very, very rarely will take a guest submission. I always like to go out and find guests, but it's hit or miss on whether I get a response because there's a lot of spam.
I know. So many scammers out there.
Mm-hmm.
So where can our listeners find the real you? Where are your socials and where can they just get more of your DIY kitchen ready?
Yeah, if you go to more.delanceydiy.com, you can find all about me. And I'm Delancey DIY on all of the socials.
Perfect.
Cool. And we'll link to that in the show notes. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
I am so grateful that we did not talk about painting your countertops.
Putting contact paper over them.
I was afraid that was going to be where the conversation might go. We have the ability to edit, but it didn't go there because DeLancey gives the good stuff.
Actually gave good tips. Tile, seriously. And when she said, I put tile in a random room in my house, I was like, I don't know. Actually, then I saw it on her Instagram at DeLancey.diy, and it looks legit.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not in love with tile enough to do that, but it's the major hitters, the heavy hitters are more accessible than you might think.
Yeah.
And so you can really redo a kitchen without knocking down walls. Open it up for very little money and make it something that you love. And I think our greatest takeaway is that stop designing for a family that doesn't live in your house. Design for your family and your budget and your use. And then the next family that buys your house can worry about that when they get there. So do yours. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that this inspired you and helped you. If it did, we would love if you'd leave a review on Spotify. That would be so helpful to us. If you've read our book, Buy What You Love Without Going Broke, We would love for you to leave a review for that on Amazon. It's where people go to vet books before they read them, regardless of where they buy them. Like this one from Katie Jo. It happens to be 5 stars. If you struggle with shame and overwhelm because your finances are so off track, you don't even know where to start and think, no matter how much I try, the math just doesn't math for my income versus expenses. When you swipe your debit card after another impulse purchase, this is the book for you. The shame and judgment-free tone and approach of this book was just what I needed to get kind and curious with myself about what's working and what's really not. When I approach my finances, the action items at the end of each chapter gave me a practical step to take that could be accomplished right then, not at some nebulous point in time as part of a 5-year plan. I took several pages of notes from this book and look forward to reading it again to see what else I can pull from it. Overall, a fairly easy read that was not overly dense and met me right where I am to help me move forward.
Oh, I'm so
This is it.
thrilled to hear that.
This is what we were going for.
This is what we wanted. It's so cool when you hear you did do it. You at least did it for Katie Jo.
I promise I did not read this. I write this. I am not Katie Jo.
I'm not Katie Jo
exactly
either.
what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for being here, for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to leave a rating and a review. It really, really, really does help us. It's free for you to do. Hopefully, it will only take you like 60 seconds. If you read the book, please leave us a review for that too. We are so thankful.
See you next time.
Bye.
Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Siriani.
Okay, Jen.
Yes.
What is a power tool, or no, even maybe just like a skill, a reno skill that you built throughout your renovations that like surprised you, that like you didn't think you would ever do, or never even knew that it would be a thing you were doing?
I mean, laying flooring, putting up tile, using power tools. I am not handy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not DIY girl.
Right.
I don't like DIY. I do not do that. I don't enjoy it. So I was forced into so much of this. And yeah, there's skills I don't want to have that I do now not really have, but I did do them. Travis did so much. I helped him carry fencing yesterday, and that was miserable. Hated that. How about you, Jill?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, all of it, I suppose. I'm the caulk girl.
You are. That is actually you.
I am caulk queen.
I never caulked. I didn't do any caulking.
Yeah. All of the finish work is my responsibility. And it's a skill that I've built now over years. I mean, Erica and I have renovated every place we've ever lived. I actually was surprised to realize I've actually renovated as I think a few more kitchens than DeLancey has.
I know you were like, why are you bringing in a renovation expert? I'm a renovation expert. I was like, you're not this kind of renovation expert.
No, I am not. And I don't have the platform that she has. I've not like recorded all of the renovations that we've ever done. But yeah, we've done a lot. And through that time, I've built like the finishing skills. Eric hates painting, absolutely hates it. Turns out I'm good at it. So I do get to a point where I feel so done with it. I wouldn't say that like I love it, but I don't hate it to the same degree that he does.
There are some areas in our house that I just didn't finish painting.
Mm-hmm.
And I know where they are, and I can see them.
Leave it for the next person to solve that.
And that's
problem.
the next family's problem, not mine.
But I used a hammer drill, I think for the first time. This is a new thing for me, a new tool this past weekend.
Wow.
And that was both amazing, both one of my favorite experiences and exhausting.
Yeah. Travis bought this big, it's the size of a trash can drill. The thickness is like the size of my head, and he bought it for doing the fence. And I actually held on to that baby and I was like, I could do damage with this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. So please let me put it down. And yeah, that was one of those things he bought and he's planning to. He didn't actually use it a lot, so he might return it.
Okay.
But I was planning to sell it.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want any of the renovation skills, and
I don't think
I have
feel
them either.
about marketing. I don't want marketing skills,
and I do have those.
And you're forcing it on me.
I know. I'm sorry, but it's so more people like get the message. It's gonna be good for you.
It's nostalgia overload as Wilmer Valderrama and Freddie Rodriguez welcome another amigo to their podcast, Dos Amigos. Wilmer's friend and former That 70s Show castmate Topher Grace stops by the Speakeasy for a 2-part interview to discuss his career and reminisce about old times.
We were still in that place of like, what will this experience become? And you go, you're having the best time you're ever going to have. Yeah. But it was like such a perfect golden time.
Listen to Dos Amigos on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
In a world of economic uncertainty and workplace transformation, learn to lead by example from visionary C-suite executives like Shannon Schuyler of PwC and Will Pearson of iHeartMedia.
The good teacher explains, the great teacher inspires.
Don't always leave your team to do the work. That's been the most important part of how to lead by example.
Listen to Leading by Example, Executives Making an Impact on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We love learning about this extraordinary universe.
And we love sharing what we've learned.
And on our podcast, Daniel and Kelly's Extraordinary Universe, that's what we're going to do.
I'm Daniel. I'm a particle physicist, and I think our universe is absolutely extraordinary.
I'm Kelly Weinersmith. I study parasites, and there's just endless things about this universe that I find fascinating.
Basically, we're both nerds.
Each Tuesday and Thursday, we take an hour-long dive into some science topic.
Learn all about our amazing and beautiful universe on Daniel and Kelly's Extraordinary Universe every Tuesday and Thursday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The biggest stars in country music will be taking the stage at our 2025 iHeart Country Festival, presented by Capital One.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Brooks and Dunn, Thomas Rhett, Rascal Flatts, Cole Swindell, Sam Hunt, Megan Maroney, Bailey Zimmerman, Nate Smith, special guest Dasha.
iHeart Country Festival, let's go!
Stream only on Hulu. Saturday, May 3rd, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific.